Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Caballeros Column, the first publication of the Caballeros Column. In this series of videos, I'm going to solely focus on the San Antonio Caballeros of the International Football Alliance. So no Brahmas, no gunslingers, solamente Caballeros. So with that introduction out of the way, and without further ado, let's get into this week's stories. The first headline, the IFA 2025 draft. The International Football Alliance announces their inaugural draft. The International Football Alliance (IFA) announced on August 29th the date, time, and location of their inaugural draft. In a press release, the following details were published. Our inaugural draft will be held on March 21st to the 22nd, 2025 at the Westin Hotel in Huntsville, Alabama. The IFA draft will hold 8 rounds total, with rounds 1 through 3 focused only on international and dual citizens. Rounds 4 through 8 will focus on United States-born citizens. Rounds 1 through 3 will be held on March 21st. Rounds 4 through 8 will be held March 22nd. Each team will pick from a pool of players compiled by the IFA Player Personnel Department. Our draft pool will consist of recent college graduates and professional players who have accepted the draft pool invite and with experience in other professional football leagues. Draft invite guidelines. Draft invite and eligibility. Any player who receives a draft invite from the IFA on or after August 1st, 2024 is automatically included in the IFA draft pool for the 2025 draft. Players included in the draft pool are not eligible to be offered an IFA player rights camp invite during the draft cycle leading up to the 2025 draft. The draft invite indicates that the player must be selected through the formal draft process to join an IFA team. Any player who received an IFA draft before August 1st, 2024 is eligible to sign an IFA team camp invite. If the player signs a team camp invite, if offered by a team, that player will no longer be considered in the draft pool and will be removed from the player pool the team chose from on the draft date. All players not drafted once that draft concludes will be considered free agents and may sign a camp invite if offered by an IFA team. Exclusivity of draft pool. Once a player is placed in the draft pool, they are exclusively eligible to be drafted by one of the IFA teams during the 2025 draft. No team, coach, or representative is permitted to extend any form of contract, camp invite, or alternative offer to these players outside of the draft process. The draft process. The IFA draft will take place on March 21st to 22nd, 2025, and will consist of multiple rounds as previously structured. The teams will select players from the draft pool based on their draft position and the draft rules set forth by the IFA. The draft will be conducted in 2 phases. Rounds 1 through 3, exclusively for international and dual citizens. There are no trades allowed between teams in rounds 1 through 3. Rounds 4 through 8 are for American citizens only. Rounds 4 through 8, trading rules. Each team is allowed to trade up to 3 picks. Player rights and responsibilities. Players must adhere to the guidelines and the restrictions of this policy once they receive a draft invite. Players are encouraged to prepare for the draft process and may not engage in negotiations with any IFA team outside of the draft framework. Acceptance of the draft invite is binding under these guidelines, and the player's rights will be determined solely through the draft. Our next headline, Caballeros add coach. The San Antonio Caballeros announces a defensive coordinator. Now, this article is an RJ Reed original, so I wrote this myself. The San Antonio Caballeros announced on August 28th that Coach Tom Mason will be the new defensive coordinator. Tom Mason, born on September 22nd, 1956, is a seasoned football coach with a career spanning nearly 40 years. Known for his defensive acumen, Coach Mason has made significant contributions to various college programs, early career, and playing days. Coach Mason's journey in football began as a player. He played linebacker at Boise State University, where he developed a deep understanding of defensive strategies. This foundation would later shape his coaching philosophy and techniques. Coaching career. Coach Mason's coaching career is marked by numerous stints at different institutions, each adding to his rich tapestry of experience. Boise State University. Coach Mason started his coaching career at his alma mater, Boise State, where he served in various defensive roles. University of Nevada. He continued to hone his skills as a defensive coordinator, helping to shape the defensive units. SMU. Coach Mason's tenure at SMU is particularly notable. He served as the defensive coordinator from 2008 and was appointed interim head coach, for the final 10 games of the 2014 season following the resignation of June Jones. University of Hawaii. In 2015, Coach Mason joined the University of Hawaii as a defensive coordinator and inside linebackers coach, bringing nearly 40 years of defensive experience to the Rainbow Warriors. UTEP. Coach Mason also had a stint at UTEP, further solidifying his reputation as a defensive mastermind. Central Michigan University. Most recently, Coach Mason joined Central Michigan's coaching staff, where he continued to impart his extensive knowledge to the Chippewa linebackers. Coaching philosophy. Coach Mason is known for his aggressive defensive schemes and ability to adapt to strengths of his players. His defenses are characterized by their resilience and technical veracity, often making critical adjustments mid-game to counter opponent strategies. Legacy and impact. Throughout his career, Coach Mason has been respected not only for his tactical knowledge, but also for his mentorship. He has played a pivotal role in developing young athletes, many of whom have gone on to have successful careers in football. His legacy is one of dedication, adaptability, and a deep love for the game. Conclusion. Coach Tom Mason's journey through the ranks of college football coaching is a testament to his enduring passion for the sport. His contributions have left an indelible mark on every program he has been a part of, and his influence continues to be felt across the football community. Now, that deep wealth of experience and mentorship is coming to San Antonio, where he has a chance to continue inspiring and molding young players to be the best versions of themselves. His reputation will be a main attraction for both players and fans in this new alternative football league, and will bring a sense of credibility that will be extremely important to bring legitimacy. And our final headline, Caballeros Camp Invites. San Antonio Caballeros Camp Invites. The San Antonio Caballeros have been busy as of late inviting players to their tryout camp. A couple months ago, the Caballeros held an open tryout at New Braunfels, and at least one player from that tryout was invited to camp. Since then, there has been a flurry of activity with announcements from the Caballeros social media pages with invites. Among those players being invited to camp are kicker Callum Sullivan, offensive lineman LaQuinston Sharp, quarterback Asher O'Hara, tight end / long snapper Hunter Shiloboda, sorry if I mispronounced that name, wide receiver Carl Reynolds, running back Diago Hunter, offensive lineman Dazon Carroll, wide receiver Tom Simmons, wide receiver Ben Stevens, linebacker Draquan Brown, offensive lineman Javon Caldwell, wide receiver Lamarcus Carradine, wide receiver Marlon Cook, offensive lineman Blaine Hoover, running back Trey Minter, defensive lineman Braden Utley, edge Draquan Brown, defensive back Joseph Putu, defensive back T.G. Paul, defensive back Donovan Banks, linebacker Kenneth Edison McGruder, tight end Jared Scott, wide receiver Isaac Zico, offensive lineman Tyrell Thompson, quarterback Sean Lewis, defensive back Derek Jones, wide receiver Jonah Morris, running back Antoine Squire, wide receiver Quintavious Workman, wide receiver Jeremiah Boogie Knight, love that name, defensive lineman Chase Demore, defensive back Malcolm Washington, defensive lineman Darren Brown, defensive lineman Robert Fuentes, running back Trey King, and wide receiver Carl Reynolds. And that's it. That's it for the episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the very first episode of the Caballeros Column, please let me know by hitting that like button. And if you haven't done so already, consider hitting the subscribe button to keep up to date on all things San Antonio Caballeros. Well, until the next episode, San Antonio, Montemos, let's ride.